The pricing game can be a tough one in general, and pricing a book is among some of those tough decisions authors are positioned to make. But it doesn't have to be. There can and should be a method to this pricing madness. Most authors ask themselves the age old question: is it too high or is it too low? Well, when I was thinking about that question, I found myself asking a different question: how low can you go? Do you remember that game, Limbo? And then I was reminded that that was a question when playing that game Limbo, not book pricing. And it's not about how low you can go, it's more about how high can the market bear. Jennifer Crosswhite, who happens to be a dear friend of mine and a book coach and editor, and I host a weekly LinkedIn Live, and we talked recently about this specific topic. And I wanted to share it with you. As you listen, there are two questions I want you to think about as it pertains to you and your book. The first one is, what do you want to make on your book? My second question is, what will someone pay for it? Now, we talk about ways to determine this and empower you with the information you need to price your book correctly in a way that works in your favor. Every Wednesday, Jen and I answer author questions like this one during our usual LinkedIn Live, which is scheduled at 11:30 a.m. Eastern. And I'm excited to invite you into this chat, but I also wanted to invite you to our Wednesday LinkedIn Lives. You're always welcome. Find me on LinkedIn and you will see the upcoming one that you can sign up for. What can happen when a book coach and a book marketer come together for a virtual chat with a cup of caffeine? Anything in this season. That's what we're doing, is sharing with you some of my favorite topics that Jen and I have discussed. And today it happens to be about pricing. So grab a mug. We love talking about our coffee mugs and your choice of caffeine. Mine is usually chai tea. And join us for this meaningful chat. Let's roll. Hey, I'm Stephanie Feger, and Empower is my middle name. Okay, you got me? Not really, but I think it should be. I believe that empowered people empower people, and I'm obsessed with empowering you, the nonfiction author, with impactful marketing strategies to help you take your important message and share it with those who desperately need it, want it, and will buy it. As the owner and chief strategist of the Empower PR Group and the author of 2 books myself, I have merged my love for reading books, writing books, and marketing books to help nonfiction authors with laser-focused strategies and tactics to write books that sell, promote books to those who need and want them most, and build meaningful businesses from empowering messages. Think of this as your one-stop shop for marketing insights from an author who has been there, who has done that, and understands exactly where you are. So get your pens ready because Jen and I are ready to empower you. This is the Empowered Author Podcast.
Hello, hello.
Hi, Jen. It's Wednesday at 11:30
It's
Eastern.
Wednesday and
What does that
8:30
mean?
Pacific. So, yes, it's time for Beyond the Page. Yay!
It's time
One of
for
my
all.
favorite parts of the week. I love it.
I know. And I was thinking about that this morning as I was thinking about our chat today. And I realized other things in life, like I will rearrange if need be, right? I'm out of town. I can't do that. I'm traveling, whatever. And yet, outside of when my grandmother was passing, I brought you with me. We went to Gatlinburg. We've gone to
That's
Nashville
right.
because I enjoy it so much. I have so much fun
Yes,
doing this with you and chatting with you and talking about all things that authors need and don't know that they need or have asked
right.
us, and we want to
Yes.
unpack it. So,
Yeah.
anyways, I'm really pumped to be here today. And I'm also really pumped because I have a new mug I have to show you.
Okay, can't wait to see.
You ready? You ready?
Yes.
So last week I went a whole week with no caffeine. Remember, I think I had water in my mug.
Yes. Yes.
This week I think I've had like 2 teas, counting today, so we'll take it. But
Mm.
over the weekend, was last weekend Mother's Day? Hold on. No, 2
Two,
weekends ago.
two, 2 weeks ago.
During Mother's Day, my kids took me on a experiential day because that's what we do for their
Aw,
birthdays. And so
yes,
I didn't have
fun.
any inclination of what we were doing, but we went to one of my favorite restaurants and there was a big wait.
Mm.
So we it was connected to a place. It's called Louisville Stoneware. So if you come to Louisville, we should
Ooh.
do this together.
Yes.
It is a
Yes.
place that makes pottery, and we
Oh.
made 3 mugs. We made one for me, or they made one for me. one of my other kids made one for my mother-in-law, and then I made one for my mom. Of course, the funny part is the handle fell off on the one that I made for my mom. So anyways, this is my mug today. My kids.
Oh, look at that. I love that.
Happy faces. These are flowers.
Oh, that's so
And so
awesome.
I know, and the inside's even colored.
Oh,
Green
that's
or
the
something.
best.
I know, and I said every year now I want a different mug, and we'll be able to see their artistic growth, I'm
Yes.
sure, over time.
Oh, how fun. When my kids were little, we did just you could get just the plain white mugs and do the paint pins that you baked in the oven. And so they did that for their grandparents one year, and they were very young, like, 2 and 5 or something like that. So a lot of them are kind of scribbles. But my dad is famous for hating coffee. And so they wrote on his mug, "No coffee."
Oh
He
my
still
gosh.
has it.
I was going to
Still
say,
in
does
their
he still?
cupboard. Yes.
That is
yes,
awesome.
Yes.
Oh, Jen, that is so cute. That is so
It is
freaking cute.
very, very cute. So that's
Yeah,
I
we
just
had
have
tons of
I
good
just
ones.
have a regular little, it's just a fun plain mug
a
today.
big
Nothing
one.
super exciting. It's huge because I needed a lot of coffee today. I'm on my second cup.
It looks like one that you can actually put or make soup in.
You could put soup, or it would be good for a chai, all that kind of good stuff. Yes, it's a nice size. Although it's pretty warm here today, so I'm kind of like, I might have to switch to something cold. It's getting a little warm.
What is it where you're at? What is it like?
I think it's gonna be upper 80s up here. Yeah, when I go down into the valley today, and it'll probably be in the 90s down there. So we're up at 3,000 feet, so we are usually about 10 degrees cooler than in the valley. But we're getting into that time of year where it's definitely warm out. So
oh my goodness, I don't know. I don't leave the house often. I'm like a little
right, me neither.
I'm working on the computer, so I never know.
Right.
And I always dress because I'm always cold, and they keep the air on. But my husband shared today that this afternoon and this evening where I live, there's supposed to be some pretty crazy weather coming. So like tornado stuff. And just recently, a couple weeks ago, that there was a tornado that came through and it hit my mom's neighborhood. Literally, you could stand at the entrance of her neighborhood, and she's probably, I don't know, 200 feet from it, and you could see this massive house that half of it was demolished. So literally, we're lucky. So now I'm a little nervous.
I don't miss that. I don't miss that about living in the Midwest. I will take earthquakes any day over tornadoes.
Really?
Any day. Oh, totally. I've never been damaged or had any issues. I don't know if I've even had maybe a broken glass or something from an earthquake. I don't know. But really so minor. I mean, the places where they hit, that there's definitely been some issue. I'm not saying that there haven't been, but tornadoes cause far more damage.
Right.
You don't have to, I mean, of course, we don't really know an earthquake's coming, but, we've had some big ones. The big one that, the last big one that was here several years ago, probably 3 years ago, I had my standing desk up, and the whole thing was just like swaying back and forth. Us like this. I'm like, oh, we're having an earthquake. Okay.
And is it pretty frequent for you? Like, does that happen? Like,
not really. I mean, we've lived through, my life, we've lived through some big ones. I remember being in college and literally in a classroom and feeling the floor go like this, and it was a whole wall of windows, and you usually hear them first because the windows and the light fixtures start rattling before you feel it. Or the cats usually kind of freak out a little bit. I've never really sustained any damage. So unlike the first time I moved to the Midwest, we moved in June, and in August, a tornado hit within less than a mile from our house. School was canceled. I mean, we had no basement in the house we were in. So we were all sort of huddled in the bathroom with our 120-pound black lab, and no electricity, right? So it's hot and muggy and no way to know what's going on. And
oh my gosh.
Not my idea of fun.
Oh my gosh. Well, so I've lived in the Ohio Valley my whole life. And it wasn't until the tornado that was and I say it was a couple weeks ago. I think it actually was a month or so ago. I was coming home from the hospital when my grandmother was in the hospital in palliative care. And my husband calls me and says, "You better hurry up and come home." And I'm like, yeah. It was like 8 or 9 o'clock at night. And I said, "Okay, I'm coming." And I said, "Wait, my cousin says that there's like some bad weather. Maybe I should just stick it out at the hospital." And he goes, "No, if you come now, you'll be fine." And I was literally chased by the tornadoes,
Oh,
Jen. This is never like I was like questioning stopping on the side of the road to bang on someone's door to go into their home. My husband,
yeah.
and we live in the farm, and my husband's like, there's no one. I'm like, well, there are people. And he's like, yeah, somebody, they probably are already in their basement. Like, it's
Right.
not a neighborhood. Like, you have to keep driving. And I found out
Yeah.
later, I was 10 minutes ahead of the tornado that touched down off, close to the expressway. So, like, I literally drove, and if
Mm,
I'd have waited 10 minutes, I would have been in the middle of it. Sirens were going off. My phone was blaring. I'm in
right.
tears. Then I get home. I'm like, we got to go to the basement. And I get home. This is, there was that meme that was circling, which is funny. It's true about Southern people. Maybe it's true for everybody, but there was a meme. It's like, you're in Kentucky in tornado season when everyone's in the basement except the husband and the kids, and they're out front watching. It was true. I pulled into my driveway, and I'm like talking to Corey, panicking, and he's like, "Hey," and I'm like, my kids are running around the front yard. I'm like, "This is not okay, dude." So
Oh my
yeah, that was
gosh.
really scary. I don't ever want to do that again.
No, we were driving from Michigan to California to move back. We got chased by a tornado in Omaha, Nebraska, and I don't know where I am. We are on a highway, and all of our phones in the car are going off, and we're listening. Someone get on find a local radio station, figure out where the heck we are. Literally, and you know how it pours rain a lot of times, so the rain's
Yep.
coming
Oh
down,
yeah.
it's hailing, we can't see anything. I see a
Yep.
Walmart. I'm like, we're getting off here. The Walmart parking lot's flooded, and we have cats, right? We have to leave the cats in the car in their carrier. I'm like, okay, Lord, just protect the cats, make sure the car, everything we own practically is in the car. And we run into Walmart with everybody else in the bathroom. We're all hiding and we're soaking wet at this point, hiding in the bathroom in Walmart till you get the all clear to leave. And I was like, yeah, that was
Yeah,
a
I'm not
nightmare.
doing it again.
I don't want to do that
I
again.
would do it again. Hey, I'm just curious. We've got some people that are watching. Anyone that is watching live or later, I want to know. Have you had a traumatic tornado or I was gonna say hurricane. We could add hurricane or earthquake experience.
Natural disaster. And this is the
Jen,
kind of thing that feeds your writing too, right? I mean, you take those emotions, you take those, even if you don't use the exact experience.
yeah,
Because I grew up in Southern California and wildfires are a part of life, those
yeah,
show up in my books. You put all of that in there. So I would say when you have those experiences, think
agreed.
about those feelings and how you can put them into your writing. It's a really great way to really bring the emotions to life on the page. And so
Mhm.
don't waste those experiences. If you have to go through
Mhm.
it, you might as well use them for good on your stories.
Right. Think of some of the best writing that you have read, some of the best books. And usually it's people who have been in the depths of experiencing something. What maybe even something semi related to what they're writing about. Actually, the book I want to highlight later connected to that. But I also was going to make a joke and say we should capture all these stories and create an anthology around
Right. Yes.
around disaster
Yes.
experiences across the world.
Disasters.
Well, today we are not here to talk about any of that, but I always love chatting too.
Yes.
We are here to talk about pricing.
Yes, very important. I just had this.
So important.
I've got the morning little sunlight sparkles coming through the blind.
Beautiful.
So I
Beautiful.
look like I'm being graced by sunlight.
You're glowing. You're glowing.
Something. Yes, I just literally had this pricing conversation with a client the other day, and it's so important to think about where you are in your writing journey, your career, what your goals are. What you might do for a beginning writer with a debut book would be a lot different than what you do with an established writer. And so, those are all things to consider when you're thinking about where you want to price your book. And we're also talking ebook different than print. Obviously, those are different, and what you might want to do with that. So that's a great discussion to have.
It is, and as with most things related to the book publishing and marketing and writing journey, there's not a right, wrong, or indifferent. It's unique
Right.
to your custom needs. There's also so much more and so many more layers to the process, which is
Yes.
why you and I hop on weekly and talk about these topics because
Yep.
at experience firsthand, you and I have learned. But in collaborating and helping other authors, these are not things you should take for granted. Oh, I'll just put it up for $12 or oh,
Right.
$20, right? Like there is a strategy around that. And I have three kind of points that I think would make sense for us to touch on. Of course, Jen,
Yes.
add and build from it. But let's say you have a book written and you're ready to publish it. Now, keep in mind a couple things. Number one, book price can also be dictated by your book length. And
Yes.
also by if your book is in color or black and white in the
Right.
interior. If you're self-publishing, these are things you'll want to think about. If you are leveraging a publisher, they will obviously be on hand to help you. But I know if you leverage KDP, for instance, based on their specific requirements to actually manufacture the book,
Yes.
there
The
will be a minimum,
cost.
right?
Yeah.
But you want to take a
Absolutely.
look and realize like what are the margins and what are your
Yeah.
royalties. And one way, Jen, that I usually encourage people to begin is look at your competition. Like who out there is
Yes.
talking about
Absolutely.
it, right?
Yes,
That'll let
you
you
need
know
to be,
too. Mhm.
yeah, you need to be there. If you are too high, people are going to dismiss you. If you are too
Yep.
low, they may not take you seriously. So
That's
it's
right.
really important to try to be in that sweet spot where your competition is. That's a great place to start.
Yeah.
And then you might think about doing some price specials or some things like that for different times, things you want to do, marketing or launches or things like that. But definitely start thinking about your base price, what your
Yep.
competition is doing.
Yeah, I mean, I think looking at competition is just good for everything. It's good for you to look at your competition for covers and even uncovering keywords that might be within their Amazon descriptions, right? That helps you
Yes.
with doing some searches
Yes.
because it's like beta data for it. Beta
Yes.
data. It's data
I like it.
for you to be able to mine.
Yes.
And when you're looking at your competition, I also want you to not just search and find a book that's similar to yours, maybe in the same category or space, but evaluate how many reviews do they have and how many stars have they gotten. That will
Right.
also let you know, there's so much information that can be found in reviews. There's so much there for you to uncover. And it will also let you know what the market will bear. I think that there is definitely something that you should, reflect upon is what do you want to make, but what will someone pay for?
Right.
And also think about that when you go to buy a book. So, I mean, Jen, I don't know about you. This is kind of silly. As a marketer, I know how this works. It's silly to even talk
Right.
about it this way.
Right.
But if you put a book up for $15, I am less likely to buy it than if you put it up for $14.95. That is a
There's
marketing strategy.
yes, there is a psychology of pricing. And I listened to someone one time talk about this, and I'm sure you can Google and find it, but the way we look at numbers,
Yeah.
we have certain emotional attachments to different numbers. Why does 7 work better than 6? It has to do literally with how the number faces on the page and our psychology around that. It's really, really fascinating. You might sell more books at $7.99 than $6.99.
Mhm.
Weirdly enough, you might.
Mhm.
And so there's some weird psychology around how we look at numbers. And there's a certain reason why. I mean, if you walk through Walmart or Costco and you notice how they have things priced, there's
Yep.
certain pricing that look odd, right? They're like $2.67. Oh, that might mean that it's a discounted price. It's not a normal price. So we get
Yep.
trained to look at odd numbers in certain ways just by our normal shopping experiences. So,
Mhm.
yeah, do you want to stand out?
Yep.
Yes or no, right? There's times you might want to do that. There's times it might just make you look like, wow, you don't really know what you're doing. So, you
Right.
know, you have to think
Right.
about that for sure.
Right. And I don't know also if your brain works this way, but I think in like $5 increment chunks. And
Right.
probably that's how other people are searching as well. So for
Yeah.
instance, if you are pricing your book at $22, $23, just know the people who would have paid 20 will likely not go up $2 or $3. Like
Yeah.
it's the psychology, but the people who would be willing to invest 25, well, that's a bargain. Um,
Right.
so you want to think too about your target reader and
Yes.
what is a no-brainer value price where you
Yes.
benefit and they benefit.
Right. That's so
And
true. Yeah.
I think it also, outside of, what I love about KDP is that there's a calculator you can play around with on the back end and
Yes.
figure
Mhm.
out what's your margin and what have you. But outside of how many pages are in your book, outside of if it's color or not or hardback or whatever. I also want you to consider, what are you giving in the book? Is it,
Yes.
so for instance, I think a memoir doesn't provide the opportunity for as high of a cost unless you are like a
Right.
high, well-known
Right.
person, as a business book will, right? Because people are
Yes.
more likely to invest $25 in a business book that maybe no more than like, my book, my memoir is $16.95 on purpose. Side note, Jen, my workbook is also $16.95, and I went on Amazon today. This is a good
Yeah.
tip for people listening. Went on Amazon today while I was on a client call, and was using my book as an example. And
Yeah.
Amazon discounted my book $10 right now.
Ah,
This is the other thing. This is a
interesting.
good thing. When you go to
Yes.
Amazon and your book is discounted, you as the author are not losing money. Amazon is
Nope.
taking a cut from their side
Yeah.
because there is a reason. Maybe there's some
Yeah.
searching going on around the topic, whatever. So for instance, right now my workbook is $6.95 or something like that, which normally it's $16.95. That's exciting, and it gives
That's
me something to
great.
be able to market. Yeah, I'll be posting about
Yeah.
that on Facebook and social media and LinkedIn
Wouldn't it
today.
be nice if they let you know when they do that?
They don't.
I
They
know you
don't.
have to just stumble across it. It's very frustrating.
Yes. Well,
But
maybe that's you and I have been doing a lot of conversations around productivity and business support and what have you. Maybe part of your weekly drumbeat for as an author should be like every Monday, take a look at your Amazon account, look at reviews, and take a peek on to see if they've given you a discount. Because usually it would be for like a week time frame or so.
right. And you should, I mean, regularly check your pages. Do you need to update your description? Look at your metadata. You definitely, publishing a book and putting it up there, it's not a set it and forget it type thing for sure. You've got your author, Amazon Author Central to be looking at. They change things all the time. And so
Oh,
you definitely have to stay on top of it and figure out. It gets harder. Like I have 16 books, so that gets to
that is
be
amazing. I am in awe of the fact that you could birth that many books, my friend.
a lot. And, some of them have been in this head for years and years and years. Like literally the book, so right above my shoulder, that one, my latest fiction book, I was probably thinking about that book 10 years ago.
Really?
So they sit in there. Becca Syme, she's a productivity coach for writers. She uses the Gallup Strength, and she calls that bread machine writers. Like it just needs to sit and knead and develop and bake, and that is like my process. I call it the compost pile because I think it's like you throw in all these different scraps, and then over time it converts into something different.
Yep.
So,
Well,
anyways,
that
it's a long.
happens over here and for me in the nonfiction world too. I think I
Yes.
have like 3 manuscripts that are in the works, and I will like start it and I'll get really passionate about it, and then I stop. And I'm like, oh, well, obviously I've not experienced something that I need to connect the dots.
Yes.
And I know you and I are both Christian women, so I can share this with you and share it with our reader or our watchers today, our attendees. But I also am a believer in like kind of some divine inspiration. So
Yes.
when God's ready for me to write, I write. And
Yes,
things
it
like
happens
that,
when it's supposed to. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
When you feel it, Jen, like I have to tell
yes,
people, I'm sorry I can't talk to you right now. I got to get it out. Book number 2, I wrote in an entire day because of that,
mhm,
like
yeah.
literally. So I have become very accustomed to that. And so when writer's block happens, it's no fun. And then I call you and you help me.
That's
Um,
right. It's my
so
job.
back right. So back to the pricing. I would say, definitely be thinking about what your
Yeah,
competition is doing. I find that many people, it's easy for them to purchase a book under $20. Like that is
yeah,
a pretty common thing.
yeah,
Usually on the ebook, and I'd love your thoughts, Jen, but on the ebook, it's usually about $10 cheaper. That's what
yeah.
kind of my rule of thumb
Mhm.
has been. And if you do that, it allows you to give yourself, if you're a self-published author, or if you want to do some marketing with your publishing company, it allows you to give flexibility if you want to do like Kindle countdowns, if you're exclusive to KDP, or if you want to
Yes,
do some
right.
additional promotions, right?
Yes,
And
and that value, when you go to the product page, it shows the Kindle and the paperback and their prices side by side. So for
yep.
a lot of people, they will see, oh my gosh, the Kindle's like $10 cheaper.
Mhm.
That's a no-brainer, right? That feels like a deal. And
Yeah,
so I always tell people put out both. Put out the print and the paper
absolutely.
and the ebook. even if all you're thinking you're going to sell is ebook, because that price comparison right there is going to
Yep.
get a lot of people feeling like they're getting a bargain. And so it's definitely,
Yep.
again, it's that psychology of pricing. It's definitely worthwhile having it. And obviously that's a starting point, because you want to see what your competition is doing,
Mhm.
what kind of book you're putting out, there's all those variables that go into it. But I think you mentioned something really interesting, which is the Kindle Countdown. And I
Yep.
think it's great to talk a little bit about pricing for launches and like sales. And what is your thoughts? This is your Ballywick. I would love to hear your thoughts about how you like to price for launches and for special promotions.
You might not like my answer, but I'm going to tell it to you. I do not believe in doing paperback discounts online. I just don't.
No, I
And
don't.
I actually would not encourage you to do a lower price at a launch for paperback, because it's easier to go down later than it is to go up. So I would
Yes.
encourage you, when you're launching the paperback version, for you to consider what price point are you comfortable with, and in the future, if people are not converting to purchasing, you can always go down. But I would not want you to go the other way unless things in your life have shifted. I'm working with an author right now who
Mm.
has become a global phenomenon, and it makes sense for her book to be more expensive now. Absolutely,
Right.
the market will do
Absolutely.
that.
Yeah.
So paperback, I think, stick with a good price you're comfortable with. You can
Yeah.
change it, but I would recommend staying there. On the ebook, I see a lot of people do 99-cent ebooks during the pre-order. That helps you
Hmm.
really kind of pull
Yeah.
in people and get interest early on.
Yeah.
Most people who are book lovers and that are supporting you in the launch will likely want a hard copy too, right? Like,
Yes.
look, both of us, you can't see mine today, but we both have bookshelves. Like, if I know the
Right.
author, if I love the author, I want them in my
I want the
bookshelf.
hard. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
do.
Especially
So,
nonfiction. I rarely
yes,
buy nonfiction as digital. It's just
I
not
agree.
as easy. I like to mark up my books and stuff,
I do
and
too.
it's just not as easy to do that, refer to it digitally. My to be read pile, I mean, I literally have a stack of books here, and they're all paperback. Now, fiction is can be more of an impulse buy. And
Absolutely.
so, especially, I subscribe to KU, and,
Yep.
it's very easy. You get to the end of the book and you just click the button for the next book in the
Yep.
series. That's
Absolutely.
very easy to do. Most
Absolutely.
ebooks are $3.99, $4.99.
Mhm.
Sometimes you see $5.99. I mean, that's a
Yep.
Starbucks cup of coffee, right? So
Exactly. It's a
it's a
no-brainer.
pretty, yeah, it's a pretty easy impulse buy. And
Yep.
I rarely go back to fiction and reread it. I just
Exactly.
have way too many books. But with nonfiction, yes, I want to pull that out. I want to share it. I want to talk to somebody and, oh, what was that quote that person said that I highlighted? And
Mhm.
so I think that is the difference, especially between nonfiction and fiction. A lot more people are going to buy a paperback version of your nonfiction. Although I do sell quite a bit of paperback. A lot of people really do just like holding a book and like reading it, the experience. It's definitely a sensory experience when you're
It
reading a
is.
book physically. An ebook, you just don't get quite the same thing. But the ebook
Right.
is, you can make the screen as big as you want. You can read in bed without disturbing anybody with the backlit screen. So,
Agreed.
there's pros and cons to all of it. And some of this is knowing your target audience and what they're going to be looking for and what they
Yep.
want. I pull my readers, I try to pull them like once a year to see what they like
Oh, what?
and what they're
Smart.
looking for.
Like, ask them.
Just ask them, what do you
Just
want?
ask them.
Do you like print books? Do you like ebooks? What are your favorites? Where do you buy your books? Are you in Kindle Unlimited? What are your favorite price points for books? What do you usually pay for a book? All those kinds of
Yep.
things, because everybody's audience is going to be a little bit different. And so you want to give your audience, obviously within reason. I mean, they would all love free books all the time, but we have to make a
I
living.
don't. Yeah, absolutely. You deserve it because it's
Right.
your skill set that you're bringing to the table. There's something I did want to share about if you do like a Kindle countdown, which
Yes.
could be a 1 day discount or a multiple day discount that
Right.
counts down or counts up. My
Mhm.
recommendation there is, if you're going to do it, don't just do it and forget about it. Have it be a part
Right.
of a purpose.
Yes. A
There's
big
Yes.
campaign. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, how are you talking about it on social? How are you
Yeah.
engaging around it? Why are you doing it? Usually
Yes.
it's a trigger that helps you maybe hit new category bestsellers on
Yeah.
Amazon. There are also a lot of readers who will only buy free or discounted books,
It's true.
and that's okay. We know that about them. And do some research, find the platforms that they get their information, and make sure that when your book is discounted, that they know about it so they can promote it to the
Yes.
people that you would never have reached otherwise.
Otherwise, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, get on those promo sites. There's more
Mhm.
of them for fiction than for nonfiction, but there are some for nonfiction too. But you
There are.
definitely want to make that part of a campaign. Don't just randomly throw it up there and forget about it. You want to be telling people about it because you got to get your bang for your buck, right?
Yeah, and
And that is one of the
you
advantages of being in KU is you still make the higher royalty rate on a Kindle Countdown deal versus you just manually lowering your price yourself. And they let you do it once a quarter for 5. So 5 days, or they move it to 7 now? I can't remember, but
I
it's a
think it's 5. I think it's
yeah,
5, and you can do it once a quarter. So you can
yeah,
plan accordingly. Of course, you want the happy medium of you doing it regularly where it makes sense, but not too regularly where people go, "Oh, I'm just going to wait till she does her
right,
discount." Right? You,
exactly,
you want people
exactly.
to know, but you
Yeah,
also don't want people to only purchase the book then. I was
yes,
actually pulling up really quick, Jen. I know in the forthcoming months we've done some planning on what our topics will be. Of course,
yes.
if anyone listening would like us to touch base on any specific topics, let us know. But I was pulling it up really quick because we have a whole month in July, and we should probably include KDP and some of these countdown stuff in there and share a little bit
Yes,
more. But that's all about Amazon. How do you leverage
yes,
Amazon a little bit more effectively?
I agree.
Yeah, this is awesome. So many so many great things. If anybody listening has any tips or things that you have been doing when you're selecting your pricing, share. I would love that. I would love
Yes,
to learn that.
yes.
In the beginning, we mentioned a little bit about, and I'm pulling up my notes now, a little bit about a how do you use your personal experience to build
Mm.
upon for your book. And there's a book I'm reading right now. Stop me, Jen, if I've already talked about it. I don't think I have. Have I talked about Listen for Water on this? I think I have.
No, 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 you haven't. No.
But I know
Yeah,
you've read it too. We both of
yeah,
us have had the ability to be a part of
yeah.
the team to help bring this to life. And oh my gosh, it's pre-order right now. It will be
Nice.
live the end of the month, May 31st. So it is a fiction book, which actually, as you know, Jen, I don't tend to have the opportunity to work with a ton of
Right.
fiction fiction authors on the regular. So I love Marie Beswick Arthur. Her book is beautiful. Her writing's
It is
beautiful.
beautiful. It is a
Oh,
beautiful book.
it is. And I'm not completely finished yet. So
Yeah.
there
Ooh,
you go. Not done yet, but I'm still loving it. And I know there's some
surprise
curveballs.
ending. There's a little
I
surprise
know,
ending.
I know. That's what I love about it. But high level on the book, it is about a very unconventional mother-daughter duo who find
Mhm.
themselves in the middle of nowhere in an unexpected way, and they have to learn how to survive. They have a really awkward and uncomfortable relationship, and they are pushed in
Yes.
a situation to learn things about themselves and about one another and about their relationship through the journey. In the book, or while they're in this situation, they uncover a survival guide, and they use it every day. I mean, they're living in like the wilderness. They use it
Yeah.
every day to get some inspiration. They don't even have, it's called Listen for Water. There's so many contextual reasons for it, but they don't
Yeah.
even have quick access. It takes them several days to actually find water. But
Yeah.
day 2, in this process and in them uncovering kind of what this survival guide is, it says the goal for surviving day 2, when you find yourself in an awkward and weird situation like this, is this: list 5 things for which you are grateful. And Jen,
Mm,
I thought this would be a
love
great
that.
challenge. Anyone that's listening to this now or in the future, I'm going to go in the comments when we're done and share 5 things I'm grateful for. Jen, I'd love for you to as well.
Yes.
But in
Yes.
a world of uncomfortable elements and craziness at times and things you can't control, I think it is good to pause and identify what are 5 things that you are grateful for. It's a really
Mm,
good daily practice. That her book is Listen for Water brings so much more to the table than even that one quote, but I just thought it was
right.
so relevant to share
I
right
love
now.
that. I love that. That's fantastic.
Some parts of pricing are more permanent and unable to be easily adapted. For instance, your book page count, or if you choose to have a color interior or not, maybe the type of book you're producing, whether it's hardback, ebook, or paperback, that can dictate a minimum purchase price because you have to manufacture the book. But there are other parts of pricing that have a bit more flexibility. What will the market pay for? Take a peek at your competition for some insights there. Pricing your book is a marketing strategy, and you should keep in mind your target audience while determining your pricing. My dad always tells the story. He is a used car salesman, a good one, mind you, and he talks a lot about how sometimes when he prices his used cars at a certain price point, he doesn't get any bites. And when he goes up a little bit more, weirdly enough, the bites don't stop coming. This is perceived value. And I do think if you price your book too low, there's this perceived lack of value. So we don't want you to go that route either. If you'd like some assistance in determining your pricing approach or how to price discount and leverage that as a marketing tactic, well, let's chat. Visit empowerprgroup.com/marketing strategy session and learn more about our 1-hour strategy sessions that can help you get that information. It's a really great way to get focused and for us to get started. Listen, I have had so much fun empowering you. I know Jen has too. We really want to help you embark on making your author impact. So remember, empowered people empower people. We've empowered you and it's been so much fun. And now it is your turn to empower others.